Just as a quick background, I'm Anna Marie Wagner. I was a dropout biologist, but I actually did do iGEM. My project was called Bactricity, if anybody is curious. And I dropped out, I studied math instead, became a tech investor. So before I start talking about why I think capitalism is not necessarily the answer, know that I do believe in capitalism and the role of capitalists to drive this stuff forward. And for the last 5 years, I've been an executive at Ginkgo Bioworks, which is a synthetic biology platform, really trying to build the infrastructure to make it easier for more scientists in more places to get the kind of data that they need to be able to advance science more successfully. I lead AI today. I also lead external innovation at the company, so have spent a lot of time looking at the landscape. To echo some of Tom's points, one of the things that we've observed, we get asked a lot, like, when is there going to be the ChatGPT moment for biology? And if you talk to a traditional bio AI CEO, they'll basically say, once I raise enough money to get enough compute to train the big model, there's tons of data, there are trillions of tokens, Anna Marie, we have the data that we need, we just need compute. And if you talk to a biologist and you ask them that question, they say, can I get back to the lab? Like, this is stupid. Why are we talking about this? And so from my perspective, one of the biggest issues that we have today is that with very few exceptions, those communities are not talking to each other well. They are not respecting each other. They are not respecting the magic of biology, because for as great as AlphaFold was, I'm going to tell you about my favorite protein for a second, if you bear with me. AlphaFold will show you the static shape of a protein. How many of you learned about ATP synthase in high school? Okay, ATP synthase is a molecule, it's in every single one of your cells, it powers the cell, yada, yada, yada. It is a 20,000 RPM rotary motor. AlphaFold doesn't tell you that. Like the power of what this biology does, the temptation to reduce it to code, and it's just programmable, it's just like language, it's a bunch of letters, those letters make words, those words make sentences, and we can treat it just like a sentence, just like language, if we just sequence enough stuff. It doesn't respect the power and the magic that is fundamental to biology, and it doesn't respect the need to do real experimentation in a real lab to try to understand this stuff. And part of the humility needs to come from recognizing that while we invented language, and basically everything that we've ever thought or said or written is somewhere on the internet for AI to train on in some way, shape, or form, biology invented us. And so to think that we can use these same tools to control and to understand this thing that fundamentally created us is, I think, part of the problem. Now, I think there's a systemic issue in the way that science is done that exacerbates the lack of collaboration that we see right now at the intersection of bio and AI. And this is, I think, where Tom and I are wrestling with many of the same questions, which is like, if you look at where R&D dollars go today, a big chunk go to academia, where they're divided into tiny little slices of grants, which are used to pay highly trained scientists to move clear liquids around in a lab all day, hugely inefficient. And the other giant pot of money largely goes to industry, where you have more consolidated pools of capital, so you can invest in infrastructure, which is great, give the scientists more tools, pay the scientists better, give the scientists equity upside. But there's no incentive for you to tell your competitor that they're doing something stupid. And so you have a lot of recreating of these wheels, very little collaboration. And so I'm going to be at Ginkgo for one more week. The problem that I'm really interested in thinking about next is the systemic question of how do we create a third model? And I do think philanthropy can be a really, really important part of that, where you can bring scale capital to build infrastructure, to incentivize people well, to move fast and break things that you take from industry, while not losing and perhaps even enhancing the desire and the incentive to publish and to work on the problems that aren't going to pay off in 1 year, in 2 years, or even in 5 years, but maybe the problems that will pay off in 10 years. And so thinking through, where are the money printing machines, whether it's government or it's philanthropy or it is big tech, who are those people that are incentivized to see the entire industry accelerate? And how do we bring those pools of capital together around a framework that can help bring what works well out of both of these kind of spheres, while still allowing for more open innovation, more progress, more collaboration? Thank you.